And there we go. But yeah. Um, cool, man. So you got the show notes. Did you have any questions over them?
No
No.
questions, no questions.
Perfect. Pretty straightforward enough.
Yeah.
Good. And I'm assuming you're okay with talking about like your faith and stuff.
Absolutely, man.
I say I didn't think you'd have an issue with it. You talk about it on Twitter from time to time. You even got that rap on there. I'm like, I think he'll be okay, but just better has to be safe.
Yeah.
Oh man. Cool. All right. Something to kind of go over with Zencaster 2 is that you'll notice that the picture quality is like dropping right now if it hasn't done so already.
Mm-hmm.
That's mainly to preserve the internet connection for both of our ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it's doing is it's actually recording everything locally on your computer right now. And then once I hit the stop recording up here, it'll send it off to my Dropbox. So you literally don't have to do anything on your end. All you got to do is just be here, talk, and have fun.
Okay, cool, man. Sounds like a plan.
So, and I've got these random, not really random, but I've got the soundboard up here. So sometimes like you'll hear the sound like that. I'm transitioning into another section. If I remember to do them, my editor's gotten real mad at me because he's like, I gave you the sound alerts and you don't even use them, man. Like, what are you doing? So, but yeah, if you hear those going off, it's totally normal for the most part. But yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, I won't waste any time here. We'll just go ahead and get into it. I don't know if you've listened to the show before, or I know we interact on Twitter and you interact with TRG and all that. So you might have listened to a few episodes, but kind of the format is, I'll kick it off and do the introduction. I'll introduce you, which I should have put that in here. Not that I need to, but which actually now that I'm thinking of this, do you want me to call you Jonathan, Raign, Masterflow?
Jonathan is cool. Jonathan or Sound of the Rain. Jonathan would probably come off more normal. So Jonathan's fine, man.
Okay, that'll work. So cool. I'll introduce you, kind of give you an opportunity to tell folks like who you are, what you're about. Basically like plug your music and things like that too. And then from there, it's just going through the list of stuff that are the different sections I've got here.
All right, sounds fun, man.
I'm super. I know this is kind of given away for the Patreon people, but I'm kind of excited to hear you talk about Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
I'm actually pretty excited to talk about that as well.
That's good. They're dropping some. I should say this for the show, but they're dropping some new fighters here pretty soon, aren't they? Or didn't they? Or they did that already?
The most recent ones were like Rita Repulsa and
okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Another character, but there's rumors that in the comic books, the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers did like a collab, and they just they're releasing some action figures, and so there's a rumor that the Turtles will be coming to the game. So
that would be nuts.
Yeah.
I would jump back into the game. I've been meaning to jump back into it for a while because I saw that they put Lord Zed in, and he's one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
And I just never got around to it, so I need to get back in there. Which now that I'm, excuse me, let me grab a cough drop real quick so that way it doesn't show up during recording. I'll be right back. All right. Let me get. No, okay, my mic's not muted. All right. Cool. All right. I'll put a timestamp in there. Should be good to go. Cool, man. All right. You ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. We'll record in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 210 of the Reformed Gamers, the show all about theology, video games, and really anything else that we can think of. I'm your host, Logan, and joining me for this episode is Jonathan, Sound of the Rain, the man with the master flow himself. Man, say hello to the dear listeners and let them know a little bit about yourself in case they're not familiar with who you are already.
Hey, what's going on, dear listeners? My name is Jonathan, and musically or artist-wise, I go by Sound of the Rain, and I'm a I'm a musician, an artist. I wouldn't say just rapper because if I can delve into something, any other kind of sound, I'll do that as well. But it was definitely a pleasure to be on the show. I make music, um, Christian, nerdcore, and anything kind of within that realm is pretty much what my music covers. I'm kind of on a journey, which I'll probably get to talk about later on. But
yeah, man.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, man. We've actually interacted for a while on Twitter, both on the TRG account and my personal account, and just kind of seeing you putting stuff out. I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm really digging this, and I've been meaning to have you on the show for a while, and it just last year just kind of got away from me, and then this year I was like, okay, I need to get him on the show. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to miss out on something. You know what I'm saying? So,
It's
but yeah.
crazy. The timing is crazy because I was kind of falling off as far as doing stuff and putting stuff out and being consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this interview and then another opportunity that's kind of come up, it's kind of been like a resurgence of
Okay.
kind of pushing me back out there. So I just believe, in God's sovereignty. He kind of just, kind of lit a fire up under me and kind of pushing me
Yeah.
back out there. So,
Well,
yeah.
cool. Well, man, that kind of excites me a little bit. Feels like God's using me for something good then. So that works, man. That works. So just perfect timing, I guess. And I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. Well, dear listeners, quick reminder, as always, links to everything we talk about on this episode will be in your show notes. So just open up your podcast app, or if you're watching this on YouTube, go down to the description box. Links to everything will be in your show notes. Links to Jonathan's Spotify page, his YouTube channel, which, by the way, he's got a bacon recipe on there that's really it's pretty good. I've used it, man. I gave you the thumbs up on that video. I enjoyed it, man.
Look, I was sitting there looking at my channel. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to turn the whole direction to air fryer recipe.
That's what it is. Dude, how funny is it that when you start a YouTube channel and you start putting content out there and you put something on there, and I don't know, when you put that up there, did you expect it to do as well as it did?
No, not I was trying to go for evergreen content, something that
Yeah.
someone's gonna look for and need at any point.
Mm-hmm.
Recipes and how to's are kind of big on that.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I will say that I did that video very intentionally. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff I had learned as far as how short it was, how I kind of got straight to the point, the
Mm-hmm.
music, the transitions, and I did it, and it didn't really do anything. And then months later, I just all out of nowhere, I just saw the views started going up and
Yep.
people asking questions, leaving comments, and then it just started going up and going up. So that's
Yep.
okay. I said, and then I did a steak video, very, very similar. Even matter of fact, the thumbnail is exactly the same, except I changed the picture of
Mm-hmm.
instead of bacon, I put steak, and it didn't do anything.
Mm.
And then 3 months later, that video is at 3,000 views now.
Golly, man.
The steak video. So yeah, I might be sounded an air fryer. So.
Well, I'm glad I got you on the podcast here first at the ground level, so to speak, at the start of sound of the air fryer. So should be good. But no, for real, dear listeners, go check that out. I have a link to it in the show notes, provided I remember to do that, because I mean, when you do podcasts, really, I think when you do anything content creation related, the moment you hit stop recording, my brain just dumps everything out from what I just talked about. So,
Yeah.
I have people who hit me up and like, you said this on episode 98. I'm like, I probably did. I don't remember it, but anyway, like I said, dear listeners, everything will be in your show notes. Just some real quick housekeeping. Had to make sure the sound was going through. It's a little too soft and sometimes I don't hear it, but a little bit of housekeeping. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Just lots of new content going up. TRG Retrospective is back on the website. Mike is killing it with the Dear Listeners newsroom on the website. And if I'm forgetting anything else, the links will be in your show notes, so be sure to check that out. But without further ado, let's get into the show. Jonathan, what have you been playing, man? What are some games that have got your attention right now that you're really enjoying?
As of recently, and this is I'm kind of behind on this one, but Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
I've been grinding on that pretty hardcore because I wanted to be done with it in time for the sequel to drop.
Yeah.
Because it's very rare that I'm a part of the conversation, like being able to listen to the spoiler cast and engage in the Twitter talk and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, let me try to finish the first one and be a part of the conversation. But then I realized Elden Ring comes out around the same time, and I haven't really been very successful in Souls games, but I think the fact that this is an open world one is kind of intriguing.
Yeah.
So I'm a little torn as to whether I'm going to get that. I'll eventually probably get both of them, but I guess a matter of which one I'll jump into first. But I've been playing that. There's a game called Unmetal, which is it's like a parody of Metal Gear, and it's it's very hilarious. Like it's more funny than anything. It has like a lot of storytelling. Like there might be like the whole game, the character's telling the story, and he'll stop and say, then all of a sudden I was confronted by, and then it'll be like a certain amount of like animals or something, and you get to pick a number, like 3 or 4, and then if you say, you might pick 3 because it's the lower number, so you think that, okay, if I pick 3 there'll be less enemies for me to fight, and then you pick 3 and it'll say 300 such and such and such, and then I mean it's really funny. Great game. And then Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I'm a pretty big Power Ranger geek.
Yeah, man.
And so I've been wanting to play that for a while, and I saw like the Super Edition was on sale on Amazon for like $26, and so I went ahead and picked that up.
Man,
and I'm
so you got it
loving
with all the characters then.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's a friend of the show, Henshin Dad Wesley. We've had him on the show before. He's another huge Power Ranger fan. He actually got me into that game and into the comic books too. And I'm like, man, like it's cool to see Power Rangers where they're at now, because I remember watching it when I was growing up. You know, you had your Jason, your Tommy, Billy, and all the characters, and I'm just like, man, it's crazy to see how far they've come.
Right.
It's like a whole universe sort of thing.
Yeah, it really is. And now Netflix is they're pretty much kind of rebooting or doing like a universe or movies and stuff like that in 2023. But it's supposed to have more of a mature, not when I say mature, I don't think it's gonna be like adult. Like it'll probably be along the lines of the Power Rangers movie that came out, maybe like PG-13ish. So it won't be as like goofy as like them in Angel Grove and the Juice Bar, but just kind of probably the tone of the comic books. And so I'm pretty excited for that. It's going to be like, I guess, all original. Like they're not going to be pulling from any of the Japanese source material and stuff.
Okay,
so, yeah,
that'll be interesting then.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. I didn't know that was coming out, so I'll have to check that out. That's pretty cool. Now I was looking up this Unmetal game, and man, you weren't kidding when you said it's like Metal Gear Solid. Like it is. It kind of reminds me of what was that movie? It's I think it's Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's making fun of Robin Hood. It feels like that a little bit, but it looks pretty good. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah,
that's
great
pretty cool.
Game.
I'll have to add that one to the library, so to speak.
To the backlog.
I don't call it backlog anymore, man.
Okay.
I'm going with the positive vibes here in 2022. I'm going to call it a library.
Hey, I'm all about that.
It's mainly so I don't feel bad for not playing the games out there. You know what I'm saying? So
good stuff.
But no, man, it sounds like you're playing some really good games, man. And Horizon Zero Dawn, you couldn't have picked a better time to play that with the new one coming out soon.
Yeah.
But I hear you on trying to pick. Man, I was looking at what comes out in February, and you've got Dying Light 2, Sifu, which is that like martial arts game.
Oh, I forgot
Elden
about
Ring,
that.
yeah, and dude, it's going to be hard to pick just one to play. So, us gamers, man, we're eating good again.
Yeah,
it's that time of the year.
It feels good.
as far as what I've been playing, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this game specifically because by the time that this video or this episode releases to public feeds, I should have a video review up for Trails in the Sky, Lord willing, of course. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it because I'll do the video there. So just kind of some quick things I'll say about it. It's a JRPG, came out in 2004 and then re-released in 2014. These games really have been recommended to me for like the last 7 years that the show's been running. And I feel like people have kind of given up at this point that I'm going to play one of these games, but I finally finished one. And like it's good. Like by the time I finished it, I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. But the one big flaw with the game isn't really the combat. I thought the combat was really good. It was a nice blend of like Disgaea, Final Fantasy Tactics mixed with Final Fantasy VII, and you have your orbment system, which is like the materia. That was cool. The characters were great. My main issue was that I think my time clock is like a little over 40 hours. And for 20 hours of it, it felt like I was in a filler arc in an anime. And I was like, where's the plot at? What is going on in this game? And so once you hit chapter 3, it picks up and really just starts going on from there. But I was like, man, I don't know if 20 hours is what I would call a slow burn. I would call that more like, because like people were saying it's a slow burn. I'm like, this feels more like someone shut your electricity off and the stove isn't even on for 20 hours in the game. And and then you pay the bill and it kicks it back on and then it just roars up. So I don't know. Overall, it was a fine game. I think if people are looking for a new JRPG to try out, it's worth checking out, especially for the Patreon listeners that are getting this early. The Lunar sale is going on Steam, and it's like, I think, $15 or $20 for the first game. So it's worth checking out and seeing what you think. I know I'm probably in the minority on this one because a lot of people in TRG have been like, this game's amazing. And so I'm probably one of the few, but overall I enjoyed it. I started up the second game because I'm looking forward to it, and should be good. But I've got, I think, like 6 other games to play after this. I'm like, this is such a huge series. Why did I feel like I'm playing Final Fantasy all over again, but it is what it is. And then apart from that, diving back into Halo Infinite's multiplayer, I can't stop. It's like what Dr. Pepper is to a Texan. You can't stop them from getting it. It's so good. It's so good.
I saw your little not little, but I saw your video on Twitter where you did like the slide into the shooting.
Oh yeah,
that was smooth, man.
Thanks, man. I've been trying to get better at it because like when the game first started, I was like, oh, there's a slide mechanic, and then I tried it. I'm like, I'm really bad at this because I'm sliding into the enemy shots, and now I'm like figuring out and getting better at the game, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm starting to get back into my prime, my high school years of playing Halo when I was really good, and so we'll see how it goes, but I'm enjoying it. I still have my gripes about it. It's the same gripes that everybody else has, but overall it's fun and it's a good time. So if anyone that's listening that wants to play, let me know. I think we're going to try and get a TRG tournament going on here in February, but I don't know when. It's going to be primarily for like casual players and dads. Like literally, if you're ranked above, what is it? I think it's like a bronze or a gold or something. If you're ranked above that, you can't play. You're already disqualified. You're too good at the game. Just go and install it. Don't even apply. This is for us casual people. So, but yeah, more info on that will come later. Just join the Discord server and you'll be kept up to date with that stuff there. But yeah, that's kind of what we've been playing. Let's switch over to the topic. Before I do, though, just a quick reminder to rate and review the podcast on your app of choice, whether you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or really anywhere, wherever it is. Make sure you leave a like and a thumbs up, all the stars and stuff like that. If you're sitting in a Chick-fil-A eating your chicken sandwich, and now's a perfect time, go tell somebody about TRG and hit them up. So there is that. But let's get into the topic of the show. Jonathan, man, like I said before, I wanted to bring you on because we kind of got introduced to each other on Twitter. I don't know how we got introduced to each other exactly, but I know our paths crossed and we were kind of following each other. I'm like, man, he's producing some really good content. I'm digging the music he's making and the YouTube channel and everything. And I was like, I got to have him on. And you're finally on the show. Gotcha. And so let's just spend kind of the rest of the episode just talking about you, man, and maybe some some rap, some gaming, your faith as well, and just kind of go from there. And something I want to start off with is, man, how did you get into, maybe not rap or hip hop specifically, but how did you get into music? Like, were you introduced to that at one point, or did you just like kind of walk me through that?
I've always loved music, since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1980, so growing up, my dad would be playing like Michael Jackson records, and
Yeah.
I thought I was Michael Jackson.
Did
Had
you
the
do any of the dances?
absolutely had the jacket, the
Yeah.
glove,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I mean, I've always loved music, and actually, rap music was the last genre that like I really gravitated towards. Because when I first
Okay.
heard it, I didn't like it. I liked. I was into rock and roll. I liked Guns N' Roses, Bon
Okay.
Jovi.
Yeah.
A lot of '80s pop music too. I love pop music. It's funny in my old CD notebook. I don't know where that thing is now, but you would see just as much like Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys as you would
Dude,
see
yes.
Snoop Dogg. You know. I mean, it was just like somebody would flip through it and be like, "What the heck?" So I mean, I have a very very broad taste. Um, so when I first heard rap music, it was when I was a kid, and my sister would have her friends come over and they'd watch videos and stuff. And for me, it was irritating because they were interrupting my TV time. I'm
Mhm.
listening like, what is this mess? Like, I'm just mad because I can't watch TV.
Yeah.
So as I got older, there was some stuff that I would listen to. It caught my ear, like Kid and Play or MC Hammer.
Okay, yeah.
Some of the kind of stuff that was kind of more bubblegum friendly, if you will.
Mhm.
And then as I got older, and I think I'd started going to school, a lot of my peers they were into it, and so to kind of fit in and be cool, or to be want to be part of the conversation, I kind of would listen to it, or kind of try to be a part of whatever they had going on or were talking about.
Mhm.
And then when they started coming out all these little kid rappers like Chris Cross and
Oh,
Another
man.
Bad Creation, yeah, that
Dude,
when
that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, that when I heard them, that one when I was like, okay, I actually would like to try doing this. So I started writing and now I know that at that age they didn't write their own raps,
Mhm.
but at the time I was like, man, these kids are good. Like, how are they so good and so young? So I would just really challenge myself to just write and write and write. And I always loved writing. English was my favorite subject in school. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that was pretty much how I kind of got introduced to it.
Yeah, man. And so you've just been writing ever since.
Yeah, yeah. Since I was about 9, I would say.
Oh, wow, man. That's quite some time then. So what kinda, because I think and I've talked about this before on the show with, John Harrison, a few other creators, and there's always that, like, that tension of, like, you feel like you wanna create stuff and put stuff out there, but there's always that, like, fear of, like, "Man, what if I do it and it's not good, or if I put it out there and people don't like it?" But you went ahead and put your own stuff out there that I remember, I mean, a couple of years ago when I
Hmm.
first saw it. Kinda what led you to get into making your own music, producing it, and then just getting it out there?
I always uh had wanted to put material out, and I think that with the growth of technology, with the
Mhm.
internet, it just made it to where you don't need a record label, or
Yeah.
you don't need all this stuff. You can create a SoundCloud account, or
Mhm.
pretty much put the stuff out there yourself. So um, I was in a rap group that I still am in and affiliated with, but at the
Mhm.
time I had left the group, um, because I was the direction that we were going and the direction that I was going spiritually, it didn't really coincide, so I
Oh,
left the
okay.
group, and I'd stopped doing music for a while. Um, and then I started doing it again. And I think then once I got to the point where I gotten my own kind of equipment to where I was able to kind of record it, and put it out myself. That was the most challenging part. If I could just write and have somebody else do all the other stuff, I probably have like millions of, albums
Yeah.
and songs and stuff out. But actually me having to learn how to, do everything myself was part of the holdup.
Yeah.
But over time, man, YouTube and different tutorials and things like that, I learned how to kind of produce the stuff on my own and began putting it out there. I was always nervous about the reaction of people.
Hmm.
But I think when I first started, it just felt good to be able to get it out there. I
Yeah.
realized it might not be for everybody, but
Hmm.
hopefully there'll be like one or two people that do like it. When I was fortunate enough to have people that that did enjoy what I was doing.
Yeah. That's always a cool feeling too, to like finally create the thing that you've been wanting to create, and then just not, I don't know. I know for me, like with the show and even some of our YouTube stuff, like there comes a point where we finish creating it and I'm just like, man, I'm just glad it's like made. Like there it is. I can look at this and be proud of that.
Hmm.
Um, that's like my video on Death Stranding. I was like, I'm just glad I made it, because like the video, the video like isn't one of the best ones on our channel, but like I look at it and go, I'm proud of that sucker. Like I put a
Hmm.
lot of heart and work into that, and I'm may not have like a bunch of views like the other stuff does, but like that's my favorite video I've ever done, because it was one that it was really close to home for me, and so I think thinking about that, are there any songs that you've produced that are kind of like that for you, where you look at it and you're like, man, this may not have the most listens on Spotify, but like this is my baby. This is something I'm glad I made. Is there any kind of favorite songs that you've made that are like that?
Yeah, the very first one that I put out was called The Prelude. And for
Yeah.
me, that was just me and God. That was
Hmm.
uh I didn't care if anybody else liked it or anybody else listened to it. This was just me saying, Lord, thank you for giving me this gifting and this
Yeah.
ability, and I want to talk to you and I want to proclaim your name and let the world hear, because the the title of it was Prelude, but spelled Pray. And
Yeah.
so at the time I was working on an album called Dear God,
Hmm.
um, because so I was attempting to try to do Christian music,
Hmm.
and I found it so hard because, and this isn't a slight to any other Christian artists out there or anything, but a
Hmm.
lot of it that I was hearing was just people talking about themselves, and
Okay.
for me personally, like when in the hip hop culture, it's self glorification is like the thing. I'm the
Yeah.
dopest MC. I'm the best. I got the
Yeah.
most ladies. That's what it's about. And so I was trying to get away from that. So what I decided was, okay, I'm going to do an album called Dear God, and then every song, the lyrics, I'm talking to God. Like
Hmm.
that was the intent. I wrote quite a bit of music, and there's a lot of cool concepts that I don't know if they'll ever come out. Maybe one day I can kind of reimagine that and let
Hmm.
people hear what I was working on. But the prelude was like the beginning of that.
Yeah.
And so um, that was the whole. Even the name Sound of the Rain. I spell rain Raign, and it's a combination between rain, like the weather,
Hmm.
and Reign, the reign of the Lord. And so
Okay.
what it was is that my music or whatever I put out is a sound of the reign of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's getting the
Oh,
glory.
okay.
But then it was also like I love listening to the rain. Like when I go to sleep, I'll put my
Yeah.
iPhone on and just listen to rain, just to, just the sounds in the background.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name came from. And I wanted to have a name that, like when you were asking me what should I call you at the beginning,
Hmm.
the whole point of the name was to sound like a band name, something that someone
Okay.
couldn't call me, so that it wasn't like I was getting caught up and wrapped up in a person or a persona, or
Hmm.
yeah, I'm Sound of the Rain, so it was more like it wasn't as easy to be labeled as that or called that. So it
Yeah.
was it would be less self glorifying, if you will. So
Gotcha.
that was the whole point behind that.
Yeah. So you're just wanting to point people back to God then, essentially,
Yeah.
through not just your music, but even your artist name.
Right.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I really like that a lot. I was gonna ask you, like, why do you go by Sign of the Rain? I've never really, and I kind of looked at the name and I was like, he doesn't spell rain like I think rain is. This feels like me with how I say dear listeners, and it confuses so many people that listen to the show. And they're like, man, does Logan not know how to spell DEAR correctly? It's like, no, I do, but it's a whole inside joke thing. But no, that's cool, man. I like that with a lot of your music, you still keep it focused on Christ. And even some of the more like ones that are more video game focused, there's still, something I'm always interested in seeing. Like, I know NF did this track with Tech Nine, and I remember listening to it on YouTube and seeing all the comments saying like, man, him and Hobson were on the same album and not one of them cussed. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And I feel like, and this is just kind of like my outsider perspective, I don't know a whole lot about hip hop. I grew up listening to Tupac and Notorious B.I.G., Puff Daddy, and all them, or whatever Puff Daddy goes by now. He changes the name almost every decade,
Right.
it feels like. But it seems like cussing is a big part of it. But when you remove that aspect, it almost feels like that gets you more ears listening to it, because they're like, oh man, okay, so he's saying something important.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really feel like that message comes through in your music. And so that kind of leads me to ask them, man. So I'm trying to think of how to word this to where it doesn't come across, confrontational, because I'm a Christian too, but what I'm curious is, kind of why, I guess we'll just ask it, why is God such a big, important thing for you?
He's my Lord and Savior, my everything. As far as the what I was talking about, the whole journey thing, like I've been a victim of bad theology over the years, and I've had an incorrect perception of God and Jesus and and how he works. And now I'm on a mission to excuse me. Woo.
It's that time of the year, man. We all got the coughs and the sniffles,
But now I'm on a mission to relearn him and to re-know him from the scripture and properly,
Yeah.
Being under sound teaching. And that's and it's hard because part of it is still me detoxing from a lot of the things that I've been through and a lot of the things that that I've learned. That's why the reason I started doing like the nerd music was because I felt so pigeonholed. It for me personally, it's very hard to write 100% faith-based content.
Yeah.
I guess because creatively trying to find different ways to approach it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I love to use different kind of like, metaphors and similes and different topics and stuff, but I'm not going to come out here and talk about something that I've never lived.
Sure.
I've never been the tough guy. I've never been, that's not me. So what it was is my kids, my kids listen to this nerdcore rap music, and there's a group called Nerd Out, and they would play it all the time. And I was like, wow, people really like rap about video games and stuff, and like people listen to it. And I'm listening to it, and these guys are like really good. And I was like, whoa. And so the I was kind of intrigued by it, and I was like, okay, I can make mention of, say I want to say a song I'm talking about shooting somebody, but I'm speaking from the perspective of like a soldier in Call of Duty, or I'm rapping like from the perspective of Solid Snake in Metal Gear. So I can do something creative like that, and it's not, it's more like a fictional story or something versus me, creating something that's negative or
Right.
that's ill influence. I wouldn't want to be able to, for anybody to listen to the stuff that I make around their kids. that's something that's very important to me, because
Yeah.
I've got kids, and so if I'm playing something, I'd want them to be able to hear, even though they get tired of my music, because they hear it. They If you ask them about Master Flow, they'll all roll their eyes like they've heard it a billion times, and they because when I'm working on it, I'll start playing it in the car when I'm driving to kind of get an idea
Mhm.
of the levels and the sound, and so I'll play it over and over and over and over, and so yeah, they get pretty tired of it, but yeah,
So they're like the test audience, and they're the ones that you're like, "Okay, guys, what
pretty
do you think?"
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That's funny, man. I'm sure my wife can relate because I've done the same thing with the podcast. Like, how is this? And she's like, "You made me listen to this 5 times. That's fine. I've told you this 5 other times. It's okay." You know. But so let me ask you this, because I totally understand that, not wanting to pigeonhole yourself with your content, and that's kind of where I'm at now with TRG. It's like, I still want to like make it known that TRG is run by a Christian. I'm not going to shy away from it, but I kind of want to like get to the point where like I get other people on that maybe either aren't Christian, like we had Colin Moriarty on at one point, or we do have Christians on like John Harrison, but it's like I want to do content where 7 years in I want to talk about stuff that I kind of want to talk about, stuff that I have a vested interest in,
Mhm.
and I don't want to just talk about Christian topics all the time. And I think our audience has been really gracious about that. But something I've noticed with just at least we're still kind of labeled a Christian podcast, but like, man, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, or have come across this, but does it seem like it's kind of hard to produce Christian content because there's an added level of like, it almost seems like people are like sitting there with like a checkboard or something like, okay, did you say this? Did you say that? Oh, you didn't say this. Oh man, we're going to blast you now. Because we've had people email me and be like, there was one time we joked about how, oh, if you play Grand Theft Auto, you're a sinner. We were just joking because I have Grand Theft Auto on my PC and PlayStation. No, don't tell my mom that. But like someone wrote in and was like, man, you guys are hypocrites because you're making this joke about Grand Theft Auto, but you're sitting there talking about Bloodborne. I'm like, we said in the episode we were joking, man. I'm sorry you feel this way, but it just seems sometimes, and maybe this is just how it is in every other circle, and I'm just unaware of it, but it seems like when you're making solely Christian content, or you even just make it a little bit, you're almost kind of, I don't know what the right word is. It almost feels like people are ready to like pounce on you if you do something wrong. Have you kind of experienced that, or seen that, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, there's an expectation, man. Like as soon as like for instance, like with Kanye, when he had come out with the
Yeah.
Jesus is King album, you know, as soon as he did anything that was outside of that, everybody's like,
Yeah.
and keep in mind this guy's going through a divorce, and things that I can't imagine. I can speak for myself. I've had moments even in my faith to where my actions, so if someone was looking at me with they might look at me like, okay, what he's doing isn't Christian
Hmm.
like, or he's not talking like a Christian.
Hmm.
In actuality, we're also humans.
Yeah.
We're human beings, and I'm not saying that to justify, sin, or justify falling, but we
Right.
just have to be realistic. So I know I definitely feel like whenever you create something and you say that this is Christian content, there's an expectation automatically. Or if you say that you're a Christian and the content that you're making isn't 100% nonstop Christian, then people are gonna start looking at you like, well,
Yeah.
hey, what, and I had to tell myself like, okay, tomorrow me and my family, we're gonna get together and watch the newest episode of Boba Fett. We're not
Hmm.
gonna sit down and watch Veggie Tales or The Adventures of Bible Man.
Because you've
You
already
know,
seen all those, right?
right? The pirates who don't do anything. Yeah, but but does that take away from our being me cursing? Someone might look at me and say, okay, he doesn't curse, so
Mhm.
he's a Christian. But me not cursing is not what makes me a believer.
Right.
My faith in Jesus Christ, him choosing me, me being one of his elect, that's what makes me a believer. That's what
Yeah.
makes me a Christian. Me trying to have clean language is a byproduct of that. What the word talks about is having a clean mouth, or to being careful in the way we behave, because we're the salt and light of the world, to where we are an example. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you know, we don't. I thought it would be, phony of me to partake in things in my private time, but then in public try to come off like super Christian, and all I listen
Yeah.
to is, you know, KB and Lecrae and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So but yeah, you're right. It's like that, and I honestly could see myself uh eventually doing just Christian music. But I
Mhm.
think I love the nerd stuff so much that I still would write about that. Like I've got a song I'm working on. It's a series called I guess it's gonna be called Hangman. I'm not sure, but it's a
Mhm.
story, and to where I'm a bounty hunter, and
Ah, okay.
there's uh there's villains that are loose.
Mhm.
Um I'm not the first one in the first one I'm writing is Bowser. And so
Okay.
I'm rapping about going around the Mushroom Kingdom, asking who's singing them and stuff. I mean, it's
Mhm.
the idea that I have for it is really cool. And then I have a song. It's called Tears, and I don't want to say what it's about because I'm
Mhm.
almost done with it. I just have to
Okay.
like put the cherry on top of it. It's like I've got
Mhm.
the whole story written, just got to figure out how to end it.
Yeah.
But that's something nerd based. And so I mean, I wouldn't want to not make stuff like that just for the sole purpose of saying I'm a Christian
Right.
artist, and I don't feel it's fair to the people that push the line, that genuinely put out consistent like Christian music. I
Mhm.
don't feel it's fair for me to call myself a Christian artist,
Right.
because you're going to get some songs where I'm rapping about Ken from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And so the Christians might be like, what is he talking about?
Mhm.
And then the nerds might hear something like the prelude and say, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So I just kind of decided that I would just make content and let the music speak for itself.
Yeah. That's good. I think that's a really good approach to it. And I think really I think there's something to be said about, when you are making content that you genuinely want to make, it raises the quality of it even more because you're more invested in it versus, if you kind of like you talking about that tendency or that fear of, pigeonholing yourself, you might find yourself one day being like, it's not that I don't love Jesus, but I'm kind of tired of making the same stuff over and over. So I kind of like
Absolutely.
to change it up.
Mm.
Um, so I think that's a good approach. And I really like that. I kind of want to pivot here and switch to you talking about your more kind of nerd centric raps because you have Master Flow, which I'm assuming is about Ken from Street Fighter just by looking off the album art and listening to the song.
Yeah.
Um, we all know the best character is Blanca, but that's okay. I'm sure Blanca rap is coming eventually. Um, and you got the song about Shang-Chi, like so kind of walk where I guess it's not just focused on the nerdcore rap, but it's just walk me through, man. What does it take to put a song together from the beginning to the end of releasing it out there, man? Walk me through that process because I don't know what that's like.
Man, it's funny because after I do something, when I go back and listen to it, I almost can't remember writing it. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
sometimes like I'm outside of myself. Like the
Yeah.
Ken thing. Um, I'm more of a, that they call him Ryu now, but when I was coming up, it was Ryu. Like that was I was a
Okay.
kid.
Yeah.
We didn't. I don't even know if the arcade cabinet would say his name, so we just assumed it was pronounced Ryu.
Hmm.
But Master Flow was I went on Twitter and I had asked a question. I said, um, give me three names of fictional characters I should do songs about. One of them was Ken. One of them was Kirby, and the other was Super Mario.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't pick Ken out of like a special desire, or like he was like one of my favorite characters. It was solely off that. And so I was listening to the music and, just kind of playing it over and over. And then I just started saying, man, I got that master flow. And it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuck. And then so in my head, I'm kind of mumbling the cadence, the rhythm, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
imagining how I'm gonna say it. And then sometimes it's kind of like filling the words in, or I'll just kind of say it off the top of my head and start typing it, or writing it down. So it usually goes with me listening to like a bunch of beats.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I produce and I'm working on getting better at production, but I'm pretty much a novice at it. So a lot of the recent stuff that I've put out has been production from other people.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just listen to the beats over and over. And then when something comes, I'll start writing the lyrics to it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much usually how it goes.
That's cool, man. Well, now I know, because I was wondering, like, man, he must be like a huge Street Fighter fan then, writing a song about Ken. But no, I guess that's not the are you a huge Street Fighter fan by chance, or do you like fighting games in general?
I love fighting games, but I'm not really good at them.
Okay.
So Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I'm doing a little. I'm doing all right on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love playing as Jason. I just had this infatuation with the Red Ranger. Like I'm working on collecting like Red Ranger toys.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really mainly why I got that game. But yeah, so I do like fighting games. I think I don't play them as much as because I'm not really good at them, and it's
Mhm.
it's it's not always fun playing single player. And then when you
Yeah.
get on the line on a PlayStation Network, and you get your rear handed to you,
Yeah.
it's,
It's like, don't even bother. I'm just like, yeah.
yeah.
I remember, Injustice was my game for a while there. I
Oh
would get really
yeah,
good at Green Lantern, but, like, I would do really good practice the combos, and then as soon as I'd get online, I would just get demolished. I'm like, "I'm just gonna delete the game now." I don't I can't anymore, so
yeah.
I relate to that very well. That's awesome, man. So let me kinda switch back here since we're on the topic of kind of producing stuff and all that. Is there any rapper past and present that has kinda influenced your work and maybe your style or anything like that, or maybe that you even look up to?
Yeah, I would say Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Okay, yeah.
And what's funny is I actually was writing, well, I am writing a song. It's kind of like an homage, or a tribute to him and his group. Cause I guess I feel like when people mention like great artists and who's the best, who's in your top 10, I never hear them get mentioned. And so I recorded myself on my phone doing it, and I put it on YouTube. And so
Mhm.
there's a Bone Thugs and Harmony Facebook group that I'm a part of, and somebody heard it. He was like,
Okay.
"Yo," he said, "Man," he's like, "Yo, Crazy needs to hear this." So this person DM'd it to Crazy's Instagram, and
No
Crazy
way.
Crazy put it on his Instagram, and it got like 15,000 views. And he was like saying thank you
That's
for it. So
awesome.
yeah, so man, so I'm uh what's crazy is he just, pun intended. What's crazy, man, is he just put out a gospel song with Dionne Warwick and her son. It's
Huh.
called "Power in the Name of Jesus." Yeah, and there's
Okay.
I know he's a Jehovah's Witness, I believe, but
Okay.
yeah. So when I actually, it's funny we're talking about this because I actually started recording the song today. So hopefully, man, whenever I get it done and put it out there, man, I might be able to get a feature from him, and
Yeah.
sometime this year, man. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I just added that song to my Spotify, so I'll check that out later. That's man, again, you're bringing up uh names I haven't heard in forever, like Crisscross and now Bone Thugs and Harmony. I remember my brother he'd either have Bone Thugs playing in his car or he would have Tupac, and I'm just like, I'm getting taken right back to my childhood. Probably listened to, I don't know if I should have been listening to it at the age of 5, but I was sitting there, I was like, I'm hanging out with my brother listening to music. Yeah, this is awesome, so but no, that's cool, man. That's awesome though that you got on his Instagram, dude. That's crazy to think about how that all
Yeah,
just kind of happens.
I couldn't believe that, man. Especially like the people that know me, like know that I'm like a huge Bone fan. And I mean, I think for me, just his style, the way he incorporates singing and rapping, and then doing it at such a high speed, but then also content wise, like he's actually saying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just blown away by that. So,
Yeah.
I would be, there's a lot of, I might do a lot of fast rapping or singing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely been, influenced or inspired by, by Bone.
That's cool, man. Well, since we're kind of like talking a little bit about the past in regards to hip hop and some of the greats there, what have you kind of, I guess, I know hip hop has changed a lot, since from the 80s to now. To me, when I check stuff out, it seems like it's totally different. Like I have my
Mm-hmm.
students recommending me art. Like the other one of my students in my robotics class was like, hey, you should listen to Lil Wayne. I'm like, okay, I've never listened to Lil Wayne. I'll check it out. And he had me, I think it was it Mirrors? I think it was Mirrors or Mirror, one of the songs. I remember listening to it. I'm like, this is not bad. Like, this is not what I was expecting. But at the same time, like, this is so different from what I remember growing up with some of the other stuff. So, in your opinion, man, how has hip hop changed over the years, and has it gotten better, or some things still kind of need some work? Kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I've realized how it is when our parents were older and they would hear stuff that we were into and like, what's that noise or what's that mess?
Yeah.
I feel like that, with I feel like an old man. But I'm actually I'm not well versed on a lot of the current musicians.
Okay.
I think I think it's different. Like they were influenced by like different people,
Hmm.
like and so I think their style is very catchy. I think there's there's a lot of like sing songiness to it.
Hmm.
When I came up, it was a heavy focus on lyricism, wordplay, metaphors, similes, punchlines, saying stuff that just and so
Hmm.
I don't hear a lot of that. But there are people, I think there are people that still do that as well. So
Yeah.
I think there's a good balance. I'm just if I listen to music, I'm listening to like old stuff. Like it's very rare that I listen to something
Hmm.
new.
Yeah. No, I can relate with that a little bit, because it just seems like, and again, we probably sound like two old guys here on the podcast. Like, when back in my day, the music was the best. But it's just, yeah, I think I can kind of relate, because I'm not even well versed in it either. That's why that's why I'd ask, and that's why I'm always asking my students, okay, what are y'all listening to? Because I have no idea what you're listening. Doja who is that? I
Yeah.
don't,
I mean,
you know.
I hear these names and I'm like totally clueless to how they sound. And I
Yeah.
will say, like, back when my parents were young, when Elvis Presley, they showed his hips shaking on the screen. I mean, it
Oh
was like
no, yeah, that was
the,
bad.
the country was in an uproar.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, it blows my mind you know the stuff that's out there. Kind of the how the bar has been. I don't even want to say raised, or it's just
Hmm.
the tolerance levels is a lot different. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think a lot of the younger kids are exposed to a lot of things, and content wise, and they're probably singing stuff they don't know what it's saying, what they're talking about, but it's
Yeah.
it's catchy. I mean, there were times like that when I was a kid. I recall I was walking around my house singing a Snoop Dogg song when I was a kid, and I said something, and my mom said, "What you say?" And I had no idea what I was saying, and
But you
she
knew
might have,
you knew it wasn't
yeah,
good.
man, I was in trouble, So but I think that comes with every generation, though. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm old, man.
Hey, we all are. I think most of our listeners are too. So whether they want to admit it or not, so you're in good company with that. But so let me kind of ask you this then, and this is always a hard question to ask people. I always ask people, what are your top 5 favorite games, right? But I'm going to change it up. Who are your top 5 favorite rappers? You already said Crazy Bones is one, but who else would you put up there?
Crazy Bone, Busy Bone, also from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Twister.
Okay.
King Crooked. He used to go by Crooked Eye.
Okay.
He's a West Coast rapper. How many is that? 4?
That was 4.
I might throw the Brat in there. She was
Okay.
very because she came up, Crisscross like pretty much discovered her. So I was heavily influenced by her style as well, as a kid. So yeah.
Right on, man. Well, I'm sure you'll probably get like some tweets and stuff like, how did you not put this person in your top 5?
You know what? It's always Tupac, Biggie, and to be honest, I never really listened to a lot. I didn't buy a Tupac album until after he passed away.
Okay.
I just wasn't. It's like I would enjoy the songs that I would hear, but I think a lot of I've always been more intrigued by the way someone said something versus what they're actually saying. So I think that might have been why a lot of the rappers I named are more known for their flow,
Gotcha.
versus the way, versus what they're saying. Yeah, a lot of East Coast music my friends would listen to, so that's how I was exposed to it. But a lot of the music I listened to was like from the Midwest or the West Coast or like down south, stuff like that.
Yeah. So, and I've always heard this talked about when hip hop is brought up, and even listening to you now, I guess what kind of makes the styles different from an East Coast rapper to a West Coast rapper to someone in the Midwest? What are some key characteristics that changes those up, that distinguishes them from one another?
Back when I was younger, it's kind of changed now because a lot of people sound like they're from the current Chicago Midwest kind of drill sound. Even if you're from New York or wherever, but the Midwest kind of had like a bounce or a speed to the way that they rap. That's where Bones from the Midwest, Twisters from the Midwest. So there was a lot of fast rapping, which as soon as I heard it, I was intrigued by it. The East Coast, it would be a little more kind of grittier and grimier, a lot more street heavy, and maybe there might be a lot of focus on wordplay, heavy on metaphors and similes and punchlines and stuff like that. The South would be kind of content wise might not be as heavy, but it had kind of a more kind of a feel good vibe to it. And then the West Coast was kind of like a laid back Snoop Dogg kind of, kind of vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. That actually helps kind of clarify some things and helps me distinguish some things. So that's good. I'm glad you're able to break that down. I just remember, did you see, and this kind of hasn't, well, I guess it still pertains to the topic. Did you see the Super Bowl halftime show lineup for this year?
Yeah.
Dude, what do you think of that?
That's crazy, especially the fact that they're playing in LA and the Rams are actually in the Super Bowl.
Is that a surprise that the Rams are in the Super Bowl?
Well, the fact that it's like a home court advantage, so it's LA music. They're in LA and it's an LA team on the. Yeah, but man, that's I wonder if they'll actually like maybe put a tour together, or maybe if Dr. Dre will work on a new album or anything. But that's going to be a crazy halftime show.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that one. I mean, the past ones we've had where it's like Maroon 5, I'm like, whatever, like, I don't have a problem with Maroon 5, but I'm like, it is what it is. But when I saw this lineup, I'm like, can I tweet that I'm actually kind of excited about this? Because I mean, Snoop Dogg's always fun to just kind of just listen to, and whether he's rapping or just talking. I don't know if he still streams on Twitch or not, but I remember when he was streaming on Twitch and it was hilarious.
Oh man, the funniest, the video where he's losing in Madden or something.
Yeah, he's just getting mad. My favorite one, I think this is just because I love Dark Souls, was him trying to play Dark Souls and he just getting so mad at it. I'm like, I've been there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. That's good stuff. Oh man. Well, man, let me ask you this. I asked you your top 5 favorite rappers. You talked a little bit about your faith, and who are kind of some. I won't limit it to 5. You can just pick however many you want. But who are some of your favorite, like preachers or people that you're listening to now or studying from, in regards to theology at the moment that you can kind of think of?
I would say my pastor, Jacob Warren,
Right
and
on.
one of our elders, Ryan, at our church, and John MacArthur, um, Paul Washer, Spurgeon,
Right on.
and I would say them, because
Yeah.
the person that I was listening to that kind of had me on the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. One is funny because I heard about MacArthur through this person,
Mm-hmm.
which was crazy. He had put up a clip of a video he did, and when I heard, I was like, "Whoa!" When I just over the years, I had started listening to him, uh, but I forgot what I was going to say.
No
Lord help
worries,
me.
man.
Um,
While you're thinking of
I
that,
forgot.
I one of the things that I don't hear a whole lot of when I ask people this question, and that I really love that you mentioned, were 2 pastors in your church.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, you don't. It kind of bums me out when I ask people that, and they say like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Paul Washer, John MacArthur, too. Love the Charles Spurgeon pick; he's one of my favorites. But like, I don't really hear a lot of people saying their own pastor. And I'm like, man, like, is your pastor just a bad preacher? Or, and I don't think it's that. I just think that I don't know, man. But I love that you brought that up. I think that's really cool. So I'm gonna cut this clip out and then put it on Twitter so that way you can kind of share it with your pastors. Like, hey, I was talking you up on
yeah,
the Reformed
yeah,
Gamers.
yeah, yeah. Do that, man.
But no, that's cool, man. I love that. That's really good. Well, man, as we kind of start closing this out, man, let me kind of hit a few things here. First of all, to people that are listening to this episode or watching it on YouTube that are wanting to maybe get into music, maybe not hip hop specifically, but just music in general and making music, what kind of encouragement would you give them?
I would say practice, um, and just study it. Do it scared. If you have an artist that you like the way that they sound, study their sound. Kind of find yourself singing their songs and their music to kind of get a feel of just projecting yourself vocally, and then begin to try to maybe change their words with replace them with your own words.
Yeah.
If there's somebody that wants to maybe they feel like they're already kind of skilled or talented enough as far as making music, but don't have an outlet. There's TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Twitter.
Yeah.
Like the video that I did where that Crazy Bone shared. I did that on my phone, sitting on my bed over there with no shirt on, and my wife was like, "Why don't you have a shirt on?" But of course, it's from the neck up. But I mean,
Sure.
I did that on my bed and it got 15,000 views. Or I did there was a video I had put up, and one of the rappers I mentioned, King Crooked, he retweeted it, and it got almost 2,000 views in like not even
Oh
an
man,
hour.
that's
And I'm
awesome.
just sitting there rapping in my car with my phone. So I know a lot of people, they find themselves getting frustrated because they don't have the tools or the resources.
Yeah.
Might not have a studio or a computer. If you got a smartphone, you can create a business from your phone. I mean, like seriously, man. If it's got a
Yeah.
camera on there, if you got an Android, I'm sorry, but no.
I take it you're an Apple guy.
Oh yeah.
Right on, man. I am too. Probably just lost some listeners there, but that's okay.
I'm kidding.
Man, that's funny. Man, you said something in there that just really just is probably going to get lodged into my brain. You said do it scared. I love that phrasing, man. Do it scared, because yeah, anytime you get into something like this, it is scary, but just do it, man. Do it scared. I love that. You're gonna need to get that on a t-shirt. I'm not gonna do it, but you get it on a t-shirt and start some merch there. That's awesome, man. I feel like I was gonna ask you something else, and now I can't remember what it is. But there it is. Like you're talking about, just using your phone and just doing that to record it. Like, dude, I remember like super early videos of both Techno Buffalo, which is a tech review website I followed pretty heavily in college. The guy that started that just used his like really old busted up laptop camera and just talked about different tech things. You look at early MKBHD, super like low quality, low budget stuff. But like, man, he went after it, and now look at where he's at. Techno Buffalo 2 is even a huge tech review website that is going places. And that's true, man. Yeah, just kind of use what you got, and you just never know where it's going to go, especially with TikTok now. Like, my gosh, the algorithms over there are nuts. So
yeah,
who knows what you can do. That's awesome, man. I love that. So let me kind of roll out the red carpet for you here, man. Where can people find you, find your music, all sorts of things?
At Sound of the Rain on everything. So that's SOUNDTHRAIGN. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I have a podcast, but I'm not like, I don't have a direction for it yet. So it's kind of like, once I kind of figure that out, I plan to kind of relaunch that. But on Spotify, Sound of the Rain, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you stream your music, YouTube, Sound of the Rain.
All right, man. That's awesome. I made a note in my show notes to go get the social links and all that stuff for later. So again, dear listeners, everything will be in your show notes. So be sure to check that out. Or if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description box down below. But Jonathan, man, thank you so much for carving out. I mean, we could probably go for another hour because I have other questions, but man, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but man, I appreciate
I'm good, man. Whatever you got time for, man.
Man, I want to talk a little bit about theology real quick, because you're kind of bringing up some of the phrasing you said. I'm like, does Jonathan lean a little towards Reformed theology?
Oh yeah, and I will say this, because whenever I was the things that I was taught previously, they came a lot from the charismatic movement,
Okay.
and then even outside of that, there was a preacher that I was following, and it was this is what I was going to say. Thank you, Lord. I would listen to his sermons, and it was like, I would listen to it for entertainment. He was funny. He was a good speaker. But then I would go listen to MacArthur, like when I wanted to actually hear something that was just, at the time, I didn't even think I realized it. I would just listen to both of them, and I realized that one, I was being entertained, and one, I was being taught.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, to be totally honest, man, I feel like a babe in Christ almost, because I feel like I've imagine if, say, all your life growing up, someone taught you to make the best Kool-Aid in the world, you use pickle juice and salt. So you grow up, every cookout you go to, you got a jar of pickle juice and a big thing of salt, and you're running around with this, oh man, I'm making the best Kool-Aid. And then you realize, like, let somebody let you taste a cup of regular Kool-Aid with, the packet of Kool-Aid and some sugar, and you're like, whoa, like
wait a minute.
So now you drop the jar of pickle juice and the jar of salt, and you're back to square one. So now I'm dealing with wow, all these years I've been making Kool-Aid wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What really is Kool-Aid? That's the one thing I will never, no matter how much I feel I need to be, how much I feel I need to learn or be taught, or I might even question things at one point. I will never ever question that Jesus is the King of Kings,
Mm.
the Lord of Lords. He is my Savior. He is the Alpha and Omega. I will always hold on to that. So
Yeah.
even as I'm learning and understanding some things theologically that I might have understood incorrectly,
Mm-hmm.
I've always told myself that foundation, you
Yeah.
know, I've become a lot more open to things that I wasn't in the past, and even
Mm-hmm.
conversating with people I had, differences with, or there was a time where if someone told me they were atheists, I would just run away or shun them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, they ask the best questions and have, I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not in that place anymore, but I've always told myself I'll be open to so many things, but the one thing I will never question, debate, you can't make me second guess is that Jesus is the King of Kings.
Yeah,
That's
man.
that's that's the one thing. And as I grow and learn and I'm taught more, I pray that God would. That's one of my goals for this year was to really just re relearn my faith in Christ. I have an idea for a song called National Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of it is that I want to rediscover him. He's
Mm.
always been here. So like in the movies with Nicolas Cage, they're looking for these treasures that have always already been in the world and they're valuable, but they're looking for him to find them. I know he's always valuable, but I need to rediscover him and re-know him
Mm.
and re-understand him. You know, and so that's why I say I feel like a babe in Christ, man. So
Yeah.
look, you wanna feed me theologically or talk. Hey, I'm all here for it, man.
No, I mean that's my background, man. It's funny. I went to a small group this past week. We started going to a new church, and or started going to a new church last summer. And we just started going to the small groups, and it's funny because they started talking about some of the deeper theological stuff and asking questions, and I was like, all right, I feel like I'm going to speak up and say something. It's like, Logan, just hold yourself back a little bit because you know how you are when you get on this topic, man. But no, it was good. It was a lot of fun. But no, we could definitely talk about that for a while. But that just means we got to get you back on the show again, man.
Yeah, that's what it is,
So
man.
that's what we'll do. This was actually a lot of fun, dude. I really appreciate you carving out time to sit here and chat with me and kind of share with the dear listeners and pour into them a little bit, man. It was fun having you on.
Man, likewise. I was very nervous, man.
Really,
But
you didn't seem it at all.
man, that's that do it scared, man. Like I
Do it scared. There it
I,
is.
I, I just I have this. It's funny. I took a personality test at work, and I think mine was like the adventurer or something. And my boss was just
Okay.
like, "Yeah, that's you." When I'm scared, I jump in and do it because once I'm in the middle of it, all my brain is thinking is like, okay, now it's time to navigate it and time to.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have the opportunity to be scared anymore, even though I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I learned a lot of that from like performing because before I perform, man, my heart would be beating a
Yeah.
million
I
a
bet.
million miles a second, and then I get off stage and I'm like almost hyperventilating because I'm just so scared because you're you know
Yeah.
you're you're scared of what how the people are reacting or what they think of you. But I think that's a way that God keeps us humble.
Yeah.
He keeps us meek because if you're not scared, man, and you're just like kind of caught up in yourself, it's so easy to start loving yourself and become
Yeah.
full of yourself. I remember I was rapping at a church one time, and um I'm really careful about. I know some people kind of have their thoughts on sometimes like supernatural things when God is moving.
Yeah.
It can
Okay.
be kind of, but I'll just say from my personal experience, I was rapping a song at church, and it was the second service. It went very well the first service. So the second service, I got a little more, a little more comfortable, a
Yeah.
little more full of
You
myself,
were feeling it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm up there and I'm up there rapping. And there's one part of the song where I started rapping a kind of a high pace, kind of fast. And so for me, it would have been like people might be like, oh, and I forgot my words.
Oh
But
no.
no, I promise you that my mouth kept moving and the words came out. But for me, I did not.
Whoa.
I was, and then what I felt was like God was like, you're not going to mess this up because of your self glorification and you being full of yourself, because I have people that need to hear what you're saying. But
Yeah.
trust, like, I did this. You messed up. You forgot what you were saying. I promise you, man. I'm sitting there
That's
like,
wild.
this is how I felt. Like I was like, but then my mouth was still moving, and I
Yeah.
said the lyrics. So it was very humbling.
Yeah. No, that's powerful, man. That's something you don't forget at all.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's clear that, God is working through you in your music, man. I can tell just from listening to even the prelude to even some of the stuff that you got going on now. And I'm excited to hear what you got coming down the pipeline that'll be coming out pretty soon, man. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm glad to have met you. I'm glad to have got you on this podcast, man. And
Man, me too.
If no one else got encouraged by this episode, I at least did. So,
I was encouraged, man. It
good.
Like I said, this has encouraged me to pursue, to continue doing our music, man.
Yeah,
So
man.
I will have to thank you and the dear listeners for
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they'll all check you out. Right, dear listeners, you're going to go check them out, right? Links to Spotify and everything in show notes. Go listen to them. If you don't, I don't know. I'm going to kick you out of the Facebook group, I guess. I'll do that, so there's that. But Jonathan, as we kind of bring this episode to a close, man, something that we always do with everyone that comes on the show, whether you've been on the show before, this is your first time, is Recos, the thing where you recommend a couple of things for our listeners to check out. So apart from your music, which again, dear listeners, go listen to it. What are some things that folks should go check out after listening to this episode?
I think you should check out Unmetal.
Yes, I'm
It's on
too.
it's on multiple platforms. I don't think it's just on PS4. It might be on like Xbox and I know it's on PC, I believe.
Okay.
Man.
I'm putting you on the spot, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I saw the question in the show notes, and I'm like, what are some Power Rangers Battle for the Grid? I would definitely recommend that. It's a fun one. Death Stranding. I know you had mentioned your review for that. That game holds a special place in my heart. It's very unique. It's an acquired taste. That's my Minecraft. Like my kids can sit and play Minecraft and just all I hear is music and blocks being built and just there's no action. And I sit there and like, how can y'all play this? But I can do Death Stranding, ride around on a motorcycle and just carry a box full of cargo and just listen to Sam Porter.
Yeah.
Is anybody out there?
Yeah. Dude, it's such a chill game. I won't get started on it because I've talked enough about that game as is. I literally did, I think, 3 videos and a podcast about it. But yeah, I can, excuse me, I can relate to that. It's an awesome game. Really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, but I hope that we get another Metal Gear. That's my
man. I hope so. There's been rumors floating around. We're supposed to get a remake of the first game, and I'm like, oh, give it to me, man. I need it. Either that or 3, either one. I mean, to be honest, I'll take remasters of all 3 games, but
yeah, me too.
Even if they give me 3 first, I'll take it. I don't care. Those games are awesome. If there was one game I wish I could forget so I could play it again, it'd be Metal Gear Solid 3 because it just that game is a masterpiece.
That was epic. Climbing up the ladder and then the Snake Eater song starts playing. And the fact that the climb is so long that the song is over when you get to the top. Hideo, man, when he makes, man, he's a master. You know, and I just hope that Metal Gear Solid, from what I understand, I don't want to go on a tangent. I could talk about Metal Gear all day. Jeff Keighley said that when Hideo talked to him about Metal Gear, he pulled out a napkin and he said he wrote 3 parts. It was Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, and there was something else. He told him the whole arc of the story. And he asked him, "Do you understand?" He said, "Yes." And he ripped it up and threw it in the trash. And so there was concept art of Chico as a boss character, as an enemy that got scrapped. That one of the artists, yeah, Google it when you get a chance. Man, he was supposed to be the ninja of Metal Gear Solid 5. He had like a
really,
yeah, he had like a machete and this like his the drawing is just amazing, but it wasn't in the game, and so because they made him such a big deal in Peace Walker. You know, and then in Ground Zeroes, you get this connection to this character. And you mean to tell me, oh, all you hear about him is, yeah, he died in a helicopter crash, and you never see him again.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, part 5 feels like it's so unfinished to me, but
yeah,
it was also just from a gameplay standpoint phenomenal. You know, so that's I remember when before part 4 came out, I used to say, pray and ask the Lord, please don't come back until Metal Gear Solid 4 comes out. Please.
I think we've all got some of those games where we're like that. I'm kind of pulling a similar thing right now where it's like, God, if you want to come back, you know, you do you, but please let me play Metroid Prime 4 first. Please get that out. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've got to at least experience that it's real, you know.
Right.
But yeah, no, I get that. That's good to know because we still need to do Metal Gear Solid episodes for this podcast. So knowing that you're a big fan,
oh man, yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to have you on for those episodes. So we'll get
I'd
you
love
on,
it, man.
So I'll remember that. So dear listeners, be on the lookout for that there. As far as my recos go, I have been getting back into anime lately, which I used to watch it a lot growing up and in college and all that. And then I kind of fell off that train. But man, there's a lot of good anime out now. Specifically, you know, when I heard that this one was getting as big as popular as it was, I was like, okay, I need to see what Demon Slayer is all about and see if it's any good. And man, I'm floored. Like the animation's really good, the music's really good, the characters are great. I'm like, I can see why this is as popular as it is because it's really stinking good. And so between that and then Attack on Titan's final season, I'm like, I'm doing great. I'm living my best life now, so to speak. You know, not really, but you get the idea.
Right. I've actually heard a lot about Demon Slayer, and I want to. I saw like the first couple episodes of Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
So both of those are on my my list of to-dos.
Attack on Titan gets wild. It is, and this final season is just. Me and my wife watch it together. My wife isn't into anime, but she'll watch Attack on Titan. That's one of the few that she likes, and we're just sitting there going at the end of every episode, like, "What did we just watch? Why do we gotta wait? Why do we gotta wait a week? This is so dumb."
Yeah,
but yeah, it's really good. So I'm excited, and I'm getting back into Gundam now, watching Iron Blooded Orphan. So I would recommend any of those 3 anime as well. What was the other one I was going to recommend? I'm losing it, and it's gone. There it is. So at least you have some anime to check out, some music to check out, and some games to check out, dear listeners. So links to all of those will be in your show notes to check those out for yourself. But yeah, Jonathan, again, man, thank you for carving out the time and joining me on this episode of the Reformed Gamers, man. I'm sure our listeners really enjoyed getting to know you and hearing from you. And man, I enjoyed just talking to you. So
likewise, man.
Oh man, we'll have to get you back on soon, man. I've got. Well, we did January's episodes. I've got February stuff lined up. March is lined up. So maybe we'll get a Metal Gear episode in around April or May. And we'll get you back on.
Sounds like a plan, man.
So sounds good, man. All right. Well, dear listeners, thank you for checking out this episode of the Reformed Gamers. And until next time, be a deer, keep it locked here, and we'll see you in the next episode.